Hey, sweet.
Hey, Savories.
I'm Alyssa.
I'm AJ, and this is the
Sweet or Savory podcast.
I actually didn't say welcome. I just said this is.
Oh.
But you know what? Welcome, everybody.
Wow, I don't know what to do. This is so different for me. I'm confused about where we are.
Threw everybody off. Everyone listening is like, wait, is this a dupe podcast?
This is a dupe. Julie Texan is back with us. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
We missed you for our last episode.
I know.
But we did have
cried
fun.
in my sleep.
You cried. Alyssa and I had fun. We were just playing games.
Fun little games that we play all the time at Disneyland, in the car. Listen to that episode if you haven't checked it out yet.
Yes.
It's on YouTube and wherever you can listen to podcasts.
We also had a Halloween party
Yes.
last week.
Yes. Before we wanted to get into the episode, we wanted to thank everyone for coming to the sweet or spooky Halloween bash. It was our second year celebrating at Rodeo 39.
Yep.
Which is this food hall in Orange County. And they set up a whole stage for us. We had a costume contest, trivia. This year we had a flash mob. It was super fun.
Yeah. So thank you to Talia Ramos, who helped coordinate the dancers and the young ones. They were called the Cupcakes, the young dancers. And then Alyssa and I joined in as Ken and Barbie and Ken. I'm
a plastic doll and
An unlabeled
plastic doll
that's never been sold or ever had a movie about it.
Due to the strike that may or may not be done by when this episode comes out, I played a version of Simu Liu, who just so happened to be in a $1 billion movie based on some toys. But it was so interesting because when we got to the party, some people didn't realize I was dressed up because I was in the green gym outfit. And they were like, hey, we got a room in the back if you want to
change.
Yeah,
You are Ken. Did you guys see that interview with Ryan Gosling where he said, it was like, how do you become like Ken? And he just said, you are Ken, or something like that. That's you, AJ.
That's me.
That is
It was just so natural for you. They didn't even realize.
They didn't know. I was just naturally him.
Yeah, and I thought mine was pretty obvious with the pink, but I think because they assumed that we had a costume together, they couldn't figure out who I was either.
Yeah.
So we had to explain.
But you know what? Next time we're going to come prepared. Next year, Julie will have a baby and we'll bring the little guy maybe as a little matching. Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The costume.
So, Julie, did you actually get to dress up?
So I did not. It was a missed opportunity because I feel like there's a lot of good pregnancy costumes.
Oh my
I could have
gosh.
done.
Yeah, true.
But this weekend was my baby shower.
That's right.
There
And I only do one event per weekend these days. That's my max.
Understood.
Yeah, Julie
So-
easily could have hopped on over to our party if she wasn't pregnant.
Pregnant.
Pregnante.
I know, and I could have been at Julie's baby shower, but we had the bash. So just a lot of things going on this weekend. But tell us, Julie, how was your baby shower?
Yes.
I want to hear
It
all
was
about
so
it.
fun. I feel kind of like post-wedding where I'm like, okay, that was my baby shower. You know, like, because you can have baby showers later, but it's mostly just for their first kid. So now I'm like, okay, we did it. It was so fun. My sister-in-law threw it for me, and it was a harvest farmer's market theme.
That's so cute.
Oh my
Which I thought
God.
was so adorable.
That's
locally
so you.
grown.
That's so you.
Yeah. So we had a color palette for guests to wear, which was my most Valley Girl request.
Of course you did.
I just thought it would be so fun, and it was. And then they had like a little farmer's market stand set up with all the pretty fall produce, like persimmons, pears, all of that. We played some games. And then the party favor was you could get a little bag and take the produce home. Like,
Of course.
as if you were at a farmer's market.
Of course.
I thought it was so cute. And my sister made my dress. She has a bridal design company, so she makes custom wedding dresses. But if you're her sister, no, really anyone, you can have her make other types of custom dresses anyways. But yeah,
Oh my
It was
gosh.
so much fun.
We'll have to put a picture up so people can see, because Julie, you look beautiful.
I know.
Everything was so aesthetic, but that is, to be assumed when you're really
Thanks.
pretty good,
Yeah, and I'm sure you went into full detail of the baby shower on your latest podcast episode.
Yes, I did. My most recent episode was a recap of second trimester and the baby shower.
Yes.
And actually, you guys will appreciate one gift I got. It was what was it called? Like baby's first Tagalog words or something like that.
Shut up.
So it's like a whole book. Like the first one is A is for anak, and it talks all about it. It was so cute.
That's so sweet.
I'm sure you have, and I don't know if we're going to get into this later, but have you thought about the fact that your baby will be an Asian baby?
Yes, it actually kind of comes up at the doctor because they ask for your race on a lot of stuff,
Sure.
or your ethnicity. And there have been a few times where I was like, wait, mine or the baby's? Because they're actually like kind of different. And there's, we have an Asian doctor, which I did intentionally in case there's anything different for the baby.
Yeah.
There hasn't been too much, except that I think Asian babies are higher risk for anemia. So that was the one thing
I've
that
heard
came up.
that.
But I was like, okay, this is why, part of why I wanted an Asian doctor.
Wow. Wait, higher risk for the mother or for the child, or for both?
I think just for the baby.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know.
It's crazy.
I
There's
know
so
there's
many
so many different nuances when it comes to race, ethnicity, pregnancy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But
well, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is kind of funny thinking I'm like, obviously he'll be half white, but depending on how he looks, I don't know if he'll identify like with one more than the other.
Sure.
So it is kind of weird being like, oh yeah, my son isn't exactly the same ethnicity I am, which I guess is true for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even like full-blooded, right? Like every quote unquote full-blooded, there still are different ethnicities that are going on. They're in different roots. But well, I can't wait to meet the little one, and he can call us Tito and
Little
Tita.
guy.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yay. That'll be so exciting. Can you remind us how much longer you have, Julie, of your pregnancy left?
3 more months.
Okay.
About 12 weeks.
Wow. I feel like it's going to fly by.
I know. It's been going super slow, but I think it's going to start going faster with the holidays. And now that I can count weeks until the end, instead of at the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, 8 more months of this. But now it's like probably 12 more weeks, but technically I'll be full term in 9 weeks.
Wow.
Dang.
So that feels fast.
That's very fast.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it happens in less than a year.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. Wow. Okay. Well, we're probably going to get even deeper about your pregnancy specifically. But we wanted to answer or talk about this on our podcast because I think ever since we got married, and even before we got married, it seems like at least the most asked question we get from literally like anyone and their mom and their dad and just everybody is when
are you going to have kids?
Yeah, that's like the big question everybody asks. Do we want to answer that?
Yeah, should we answer it right now? Julie, ask us as if we're at a party or something.
So I mean, I almost feels wrong to ask you this. It's something else we might talk about, but are you guys planning to have kids? And if so, when?
How do we answer that?
I feel rude right now. I'm so sorry.
But some people don't.
Most people
That's the
don't.
thing. Most people don't.
My answer to that is when we are ready. And in our conversations, and me personally, I don't feel ready yet to bear a child, to have a kid. And in this moment of my life, of course, if it were to happen, I would welcome it with open arms. But there are so many reasons why I don't feel ready yet.
Yeah, I guess the counter argument to that is that most parents would say, You're never ready.
Yeah.
I mean, even when we talked about moving in together or becoming fiancés, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like becoming engaged, there was no like, I guess at one point I was like, I am going to think about getting a ring. I am going to think about, asking your parents for their blessing and things like that. But you are never, quote unquote, ready, I think, for anything in life, right? But at the same time, I think we can plan, I mean, we have the free will to kind of think about this and think about timing, and we have the privilege to do so. But yeah, I mean, mostly what I have said is Alyssa wants to wait until she turns 30.
Yeah.
And then we'll seriously start thinking about it. And then they either stop, digging, or they're like, oh, come on. And then they,
Yeah. I think it's also, I mean, I have two feelings on this, because most people who ask us when we're going to have kids, it's always well-intentioned. And it's like coming from a place where kids are beautiful, like life is beautiful. They just want us to be a part of that future, building a future together. And so I don't ever, I don't want to say I don't ever am mad about it or anything. I don't think of it as like an evil or malicious or thing. It's just, I think it also is like the way you ask it sometimes can come off as like, whoa, like seems a little invasive to ask sometimes. But yeah, our honest answer is when we're ready. And in my mind, I wanted to wait until I turned 30 because there's so much that I want to do still. And to be honest, I can barely afford my own health insurance right now because, I'm stepped into this new era of being a freelancer and still adjusting to that life. So to think about having to balance another human's finances is like so stressful to me.
Yeah.
And I know having kids is also an expense too. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know how I would even do it if I can barely afford my own health care.
There was one, this was months ago, but an auntie came in from the Philippines and we were at a buffet. And you weren't there, I think. And this is my auntie who is my dad's sister. And she asked when we were having kids, and then it sparked this whole conversation, and even my mom got in on it. And then there was like a more distant auntie who just kept pressing, like, come on, Alyssa might get too old or whatever, and you should have, things like that. It was even more, especially if anyone with family, but specifically Filipino families, their nagging feels a little different. Like it feels a little like they'll straight up tell you like, oh, you gained weight, stuff like that. So it felt a little coming from like a toxic place where they're just like kind of judging us for not having kids.
Yeah.
And then it caused me to write a Facebook status about just like, hey y'all, it's first of all, it's rude to follow up someone's answer to your question of when are you going to have kids? Because when we answer and it's just, hey, we're just waiting a little bit, that should be the end, right, of the conversation. Or like, oh, that's nice. That's cool. Well, blah, blah, blah. And then change the subject. But when you keep digging into somebody's personal business like that, it gets to a place where you just kind of, feel that frustration and anger because it's our life. You know what I mean? I feel like people, and of course, when we have children, like we're going to share it with our family and stuff and things like that, but it's our business.
Yeah. Okay. Also, for me, it's not so much the question of when are you having kids that annoys me, because that's a very, I feel like we ask that from our like married or even non-married friends that have been together for a long time. But the question that irritates me the most is when people ask me or any woman if they're pregnant, because it's assuming it's based off of how you look, or I don't know. You're just assuming that like I am pregnant based off of whatever assumption you have. So this is a general PSA to stop asking women or couples if they are pregnant, because it's rude. And you also don't know if they are trying to get pregnant or if they were and had a miscarriage or something. Like there are very nuanced layers to that question that can really be hurtful. And make you feel very insecure about your body. And I know I've felt that way. I've gotten some DMs where maybe I've said like I've had a weird craving for something and someone's like, oh, that's a pregnancy craving. Like you're probably pregnant. Or people like, I'll post a photo and I don't edit my photos. And yeah, sure, I have like a little bit of bloat going on. And someone will be like, wait, are you pregnant?
I hate that.
And I'm like, oh my God,
gosh.
I'll be looking in the mirror for the next week, just like looking at my stomach from the side to see if it looks pregnant. Like now I'm over analyzing the photos I post so people don't assume that I'm pregnant. So also, once I am pregnant, because I want to be one day, trust me, you're gonna know. Like the world is gonna know because I'm not gonna be able to shut up about it because I'm gonna be so happy and excited because that's just the way I am. So trust me, you'll know.
Did you get any kind of premature is a weird word to say, but Julie, like, yeah, did you get those questions either early on or maybe when you were not pregnant, you know?
Yeah, yes and no. So I agree with you, Alyssa. Actually, when I think about it, has usually not bothered me if people just ask, like, are you thinking of having kids or when do you want kids or whatever? It's the follow-up. Like, if they ask me that, then I can just say whatever. But it's the follow-up. For example, one time right after we had a miscarriage, it was like the same weekend, someone was asked if we wanted kids. And Nathan answered and just kept it very vague because I was like, I'm going to start bawling.
Yeah.
And he was just like, maybe one day. And then the person who had asked us started like telling us all the reasons why we want kids and why it's such a blessing. We really should want them and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, finally, I just started crying. I was like, I know, we actually are trying it. We just lost one. So it's the follow-up because if just the first question was fine because we could just keep it vague. You can answer however you want. But it's the like, don't give me parenting advice right now.
How close was this person to you?
Oh, we didn't know them at all. Total stranger.
I'm so
audacity.
mad. I'm so mad.
Okay, but then I have another one that's like more funny to me because it was after I was pregnant and I wasn't hiding it. It was like we had already posted publicly. I was wearing a really like tight fit dress so that it would look like a baby bump and not just like I had a lot of tacos. Because it was in my mind it was still like a little questionable. But I was definitely wearing an outfit to make it, more obvious, I guess. But I just thought this was so bold. This person came up to me who I'd never met, a man who I had never met, and said, I normally wouldn't ask this, but it's so obvious on you. You're pregnant, right?
Oh my God.
And I was cracking up. I feel like I should have messed around with him and been like, what? Are you serious right now? I feel like I should have messed with him.
I wish you did.
But it was at a very like somber event. So I just was like, yeah, I am. It's a boy.
Yeah. And you posted about this on your story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was like, how bad would that have been if I weren't
If
pregnant?
you were not.
Like that would have been 10 times worse than just asking.
And it brings me to my ignorant days when I would assume as well.
You have?
Yeah. And like,
oh no!
I know. No,
say it. Just say it.
No, I didn't ask them.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
But you would ask
I'd be
somebody on the side.
Yeah, ask somebody on the
Okay.
side.
Oh yeah, that's fine. You can do
Honestly,
that.
naturally, humans are curious
Sure.
and
Yeah.
are going to, ask these questions. And again, like you, Julie, like it's not about the asking because it's probably just out of love and out of curiosity.
Yes.
But it's the follow up that is what gets you digging your own hole.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's like if they say no, we don't want kids, or maybe one day or whatever, just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if definitely if they say no, I'm not pregnant.
But honestly,
Oh my gosh.
from strangers, like I feel like it's so weird because y'all know how kids are made, right? What are you really asking? Like, do you want to know when we tried to have a kid?
Yeah, the funny thing is, and I think actually a lot of couples, maybe it's like a 50-50 split, are comfortable with it, but they're like, yes, are you guys trying right now? Like, to me, that's an awkward question to hear. But for some people, it's
How
not.
often are you guys sleeping together?
Yeah.
Are you doing it like on a timeline every day just for fun?
Yeah.
Or like, do you enjoy it or just for fertility?
Right. And then I've heard even
Feels so-
back in the day, like, you know, when I used to attend church a lot, and people like the older married couples would be like, yeah, we're on we're family planning, you know.
Yeah, that's like a way to say it without.
Yeah, because you're not meant to be like on birth control or whatever, right? So there's like a way, it's like based on the calendar and like the more you think about it, you're like, why are you telling me this? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's I don't think we've had anybody ask us if we're quote unquote trying.
Yeah,
yet.
we have.
I mean, I feel like we've heard more so, hey, when are you guys planning to have kids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Opposed to, hey, are you guys trying right now?
Yeah, I don't.
Are you ovulating today?
Like, oh my God, imagine. I wouldn't be surprised if people started asking that.
When is your window this month?
Yes, exactly. That's kind of weird.
I think these are things that are natural to come up in conversation with close friends. But I've heard, I feel like we've been in situations where people have asked us, and it's a lot of the times, sometimes it's family, but sometimes people we just met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I feel like if we do end up opening up because of some circumstance that we feel safe, you know, even if it's someone we just met, I think obviously then there will be an appropriate conversation that happens.
Yeah.
If we're feeling that way. But I think to push on anybody, especially conversationally, when you don't know them too well, because I know that our very well-intentioned close friends have talked to us about this, and like,
Yeah.
it's no biggie.
No, it's no biggie.
And specifically my immediate family, of course. Like, I had felt like too, when I posted that Facebook status, I had felt that I had maybe offended my mom for like asking all the time, you know, and like the following weeks she didn't talk to me at all. I think after that Facebook status.
Oh, that's sad.
I felt, until I started reaching out more, and I think it got to a point where I had to just be like, hey, this post was not about you, by the way. It was about, you know, Tita whoever.
Yeah.
I feel absolutely safe if my mom asked me, even if she were to nag a little bit, you know what I mean? Because I know it's coming from a place where she wants to be a grandma, of course, you know, which she is now to my stepbrother's baby. But, you know, and it's my mom. It's my mom. You know, I think I'd be able to set a boundary if it got too crazy, but she hasn't gone too hard on us.
No. I think from what I've overheard when I've seen people ask her sometimes, you know, she defends us.
Yeah.
And she's like, when they're ready and they want to travel first, because I think a lot of people come to your mom and ask them when we're having kids. I know it's an exciting time, and it's an exciting question, but I think once the answer
That is literally horrible.
is there, you don't need to push anymore.
And that was Misu snoring.
Yes,
Sorry,
you
everybody.
can hear her in the background.
Another question people might ask that I feel like I'm allowed to ask you in this context
Yes, you're allowed to ask.
is how many kids do you want to have?
Ooh.
Yeah, we've talked about this. We want 3. Right?
AJ's face was like, huh?
Yeah.
Well, 3 is, we don't have to, but 3 is like a magic number.
3 would be really cool because we are siblings of 3. Alyssa.
I'm a sibling of 3. All my dad's siblings have 3 kids. So
my stepbrothers are 3. And even my stepbrother who is married, she has 3. She is siblings of 3 as well. So 3 is big in our family. Trinidad is my mom's last name from my stepdad, and Trinidad obviously means, not obviously, but
3 Trinity.
3 Trinity. Yeah, there's the word try in there. So my wedding speech for my mom was all about the number 3. So
I remember you talking about that on another episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
3, I forgot what episode it was, but 3 being just such a special number.
Yeah.
Were you guys always on the same page about 3 kids, or did you meet each other and one of you wanted 10 and one of you was like, I don't even know if I want kids?
I think I've always wanted 3. even before we started talking about it. Just because I feel like when you come from, like, I feel like when you have siblings, you end up wanting the same amount. I feel like that happens a lot naturally because you see what the dynamic is with you and your siblings. Like that's what it is for me. And so that's what I want. And it fits perfectly in a car or a 5-seater car.
It does. It does, a 5-seater car. But I would want to get a van or something.
This may throw you off. Something to consider. Oh. I just read, this is like how people give advice right after I said don't. This is not advice, though. This is just an article I read.
Here. Go ahead.
It said that the least happy, wait, what was it? It was like couples who are the most unhappy are parents of 3 kids.
Oh, shoot.
Parents that have 2, it's still like, one-on-one, they can manage. Parents who have 3, they enter the chaos zone. Parents who have 4 or more, they've like surpassed the chaos zone to the point that they've let go. Oh. And they're just like, whatever, I can't control. But 3, it's like almost controllable, like almost under what you can handle. Wow. But just enough that you stay overwhelmed.
Oh, so that does change things, Julie.
Maybe consider 6. It's still a multiple of 3.
Yeah. I mean, that study I'm sure is real. I mean, I know it's real because you're saying it, but I'm just saying it feels...
I could have seen this on TikTok. I don't know my source.
I know. I believe everything I see on TikTok, to be honest.
It's like, I read an article, but it's really some random girl on TikTok.
Yeah, she must have cited her sources somewhere, right? But yeah, no, that feels generally real.
Yeah, I believe it. What about, did it say anything about having 1? Because I've seen some studies recently about... I think the myth for a long time was that lonely or having an only child or being the only child messes up like the kid's psyche because
but this one's mostly about the parents, right? It's about the parents' happiness opposed to
that's true.
The kids' happiness.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, yeah, this is Psychology Today says if you want to be happy, you should stop after 1 child.
Wow.
Child number 2 or 3 doesn't make a parent happier. For mothers, more children appears to make them less happy.
Wow.
But let's see about the kids. Are only children lonely? Is that what I should search? Being lonely is not directly correlated with having or not having siblings. I bet you it depends on your community. Like,
I was going to say
have friends at school is one thing, but you know how some families, I feel like you guys are this way or were this way growing up. Sometimes families have close family friends.
Yeah.
Or close cousins, things like that, where you really grow up not feeling like you spend a ton of time alone.
Yeah.
And I bet you that would make a bigger difference than just whether you have siblings or not.
Yeah.
I agree. I think especially Filipino families, like everyone's a cousin, first of all.
Yeah.
All of your family friends, you call them auntie and uncle. So I think, at least for me, like I could have been fine as an only child. Oops. I love my siblings. But like my cousins are like siblings to me too. Like they're like my brothers and sisters. And I've said this before, I think on a podcast or maybe just in conversations with you. Like I've had some dark, intrusive thoughts as a child about my parents dying and what would happen. But because I have such a big family, I never thought, I always had in the back of my mind, I was like, I would be taken care of because I have such a big family. Like it would be okay. I mean, not okay. Like that sounds horrible.
That is a crazy thought to have, but I feel you.
It's so real though.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I had a lot of intrusive thoughts as a kid and I do as an adult too, but it's just something that I thought about sometimes is like, what would happen? And I would like stress out about it. And then the way I would calm myself down is that knowing I have a ton of family that would step in as second parents.
Yeah.
That's AJ, amazing. Do you not have intrusive thoughts about parenting?
I don't know.
Just family, I guess.
Maybe it's because it was a reality for me. So
yeah,
my dad died when I was 10. So
real.
I think losing a parent at 10, you have more of a grasp of what is possible as far as of course I thought that maybe also my mom could die. I mean, you know what I mean? Like my mom like prepped us for it. Like after my dad passed, she was just like, hey, if anything happens to me, you know what I mean? And we're young, 10, 9, and then Justine's like 1 year old. And kept instilling this thing that, you know, you guys got to be okay if something happens to me and all this stuff. And she was like very realistic about it because it had already happened. So, you know, she, her first plan was actually she was going to take us to Australia to move there because all of her sisters and her brother are in Australia. So she wanted to just have more help, you know, because we actually lived an hour and a half away from my dad's family, side of the family in LA. We lived in Moreno Valley. And yeah, I guess I was always just prepped for tragedy to happen. Like my grandma died a year pretty much after my dad died. So, and then I was playing a lot of funerals as a kid. I was the piano player at my church, you know, so I was very, from a young age, exposed to the idea and the realistic values of death.
Do you think that helped you through your childhood and as an adult? I guess, yeah, like cope with it. And do you think it's helpful for parents to talk about that with their kids, or do you think it's only necessary when tragedy happens?
I would say yes. Overall, it helps because when tragedy does happen, because I'm thinking about you, and like your grandma was the first person close to you to die, right? And that happened when you were how old? 24 or something?
Yeah, either 24 or 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw how hard that was for you, and like how it was just like a new thing. And I remember going to the prayer meetings and stuff and the viewings and things like that. And to me, not that I felt less emotional, but like I felt like, all right, this is a process. This is all part of it. This is all part of life. And I think for you, it was just so wildly new. Are you crying?
I'm trying not to.
But I don't know. I think it's going to happen when it happens, tragedy in general. And when you're introduced to it, you are. But I do think it helps as parents to talk about what could possibly happen, not just to them, but like, yeah, your grandma. And you're like, I'm sorry, babe.
No,
Next up, an ad for life insurance.
Oh, I wish. No, I'm crying because
Misu is snoring.
She's
Sorry,
having a
everybody.
moment.
It's
no, I'm
breaking
crying
the emotional.
because I wish that I was exposed to more like talks about like tragedy and death. I think it's not something my family really addressed or talked about. And I remember going to funerals as a kid too, and even the way my parents talk about death, they talk about it like sometimes like that it doesn't happen.
Like a comparison would be like the stork brings a baby.
Yeah, yeah, or like I remember when I was little, and my parents would. This is weird, but my parents would fight about who would be the first to die, and they always want to be the first to die because they don't want to live without each other.
Yeah,
they would like joke about that, but I was never prepped for like death as a kid. And I guess that's a privilege that I didn't have to. But also when we were at certain people's funerals, like I don't remember having conversations about how to handle grief. And I don't think that is something in my family that we do. And oh my God, that's going to make me cry. But I have a family member who's sick, and we don't even talk about it because it's supposed to be like happy all the time. And so I don't know. Sometimes I wish that we were on your side of things where we could just openly like talk about struggles that we're going through as a family and support each other through it, instead of just like be so tight-lipped and pretend that it's not happening. And I feel like because I'm the oldest child, I hold a lot of like family secrets. I know so many family secrets on both sides of my family that a lot of people don't know. And I wish that I could we could all share in that grief together. So I think that it's good. I was just going to say, like, if you are a parent or whatever, like you're going through something, like I feel like you can share that with your kids because it shows them to have empathy and just like learn about the reality of life.
Yeah, there's an emotional depth to dealing with something like that. And obviously we're not parents yet, so I wouldn't even know how to begin, and I can't place myself in the position of any parents who want to, either show that side or not.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It absolutely helped me.
Yeah.
And, me and my mom and my siblings, we talk about it all the time. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm not telling parents what to do or what not to do, but I'm just saying as an adult now, I think it would have been okay to experience that as a kid. But who knows? I don't know. I can't.
I was just talking to someone the other day about, in general, parenting and pain, and how my natural tendency will probably be to be more like you're describing your family, Alyssa, where I just want to like protect them from all pain. Like, just don't worry about it. Everything's good. The world is good. We're good. Where there is some, kids are still little. They can't process everything all at once when they're little, but there is something to letting them experience some pain and make some mistakes. And then, of course, there's also like bigger things to grieve whenever that comes up. But yeah, I'm sure it's such a hard balance figuring out when to keep your kids innocent and when to help them face things that they're going to face at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to be a parent or to address things like that, because even when you are a parent, you're just another human trying to process it too. So if that is hard for you to process, I imagine it's hard for you to process and teach somebody else how to. So it starts a lot with yourself first.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a good observation there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you guys think that you've already talked about that you want to do as parents?
Sorry, Julie, I messed that up.
What did you do?
I touched the thing and it made a noise.
No. Can you ask that again?
Is there anything that you two have talked about together that you for sure want to do as parents?
Ooh. I personally would love it if our kids were into sports.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we're not?
Because we weren't.
Playing them or watching them or both?
I think playing them for sure. Mm-hmm. Watching them when they're older so we can have something to I don't know, I think about that stuff, but it would be really cool to expose them to some sports as well, especially because we're not like athletic. I speak for myself. I'm not an athlete.
You're like, it's not going to be nature, so it's got to be nurture.
I know. I'm like, it's not going to come natural to me at all, but I'll do my best.
What else that we for sure would do? I don't, man, thinking about parenting is so crazy because a lot of our friends are parents now, and they have a lot of different ideologies and things that they stand by. And, it's hard to say what I would do in their shoes, but there are certain things where I'm like, oh man, yeah, I would absolutely do that or get that stroller or I don't know, things like that. And then there's some things where I'll be like, oh man, I don't know if I could, I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody. You know what I mean? But
well, you can say it and we can edit it out.
No, there's certain things where it's like, hey, yeah, I would want my parents to be way more part of my kid's life. You know what I mean? Because I was watching this TikTok that was just like, hey, your parents are also living life for the first time as well.
Yeah.
And like them becoming grandparents and stuff, like even though they raised you, like they're also having a first experience of having a grandchild as well. So like, who am I to rip that away from them?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I think about the years that my mom has left. She's still young, obviously, but I think about that stuff and I'm like, man, what a joy it could bring. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just like little experiences, like going to a recital and stuff and things like that. So it would be cool.
That's cute.
That's so cute.
Okay, I also don't want this episode to make people think that we don't want to have kids, because I think we've been like, no, don't ask. But we do want kids.
Yeah.
Like, we do want kids. I love kids. I have a lot of god kids that I love so deeply. Why am I so emotional today?
What's going on? Julie.
Alyssa, are you pregnant?
Oh my God, I might be. I looked in the mirror today and I looked a little bloated. I could be pregnant though. No, but I honestly, okay, this is real. Like, I do feel a lot of guilt sometimes, like not wanting to have kids right now because I love my god kids so hard, and like I feel like they're my kids too. Like, whenever I spend time with them, I'm like, man, like I love them so much. Like, I have so much love for my god kids. And then I'm like, how am I gonna be with my own kids? Because like I love them so much already. And I also feel a lot of guilt because I know how much you want to be a dad.
Oh, babe. No, please don't feel that. Please don't feel that
But
guilt.
I'm just being honest, I do. And I also feel guilt because I know our parents aren't getting any younger. And I want them to experience like a lot of years with their grandkids too. So that makes me like really...
I need to text Justine to get us some tissues.
I just can't stop crying.
Justine, can you bring tissues, please? No, what I was going to say is that, look, we just got off an amazing tour. We do so many cool things that may not be in like a typical family, like play these shows or host these events and meet all these really cool people. You know, like they feel joy just having us as kids and being successful. You know what I mean? Like they feel as much joy in that as I don't want to speak for them, but like they're just proud of where we are at right now. And I think any family member and anyone who's really close to you will meet you where you're at, you know, and this is where we're at. And I think there can be some encouragement. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Hi, Justine.
Yeah, they would love us kids or not, even if we didn't have kids. You know what I mean? They would find so much joy. I think it's a different kind of joy having grandkids and us with having our god kids. Like, it's a different kind of joy. And, you know, I can't wait to have more nieces and nephews and things like that. But that's different. And I think we can celebrate where we're at and what we're doing right now.
It kind of reminds me of the Barbie monologue, Alyssa, what you said, because I feel like women are told we can have all of it, which is great and so empowering, but then sometimes it also feels like we're supposed to do all of it at once, and then no matter what you're doing, you feel guilty for not doing the other one.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I feel, especially now that I'm in my late 20s and I'm about to enter my 30s. Like, I obviously know there's like a biological clock. That is, I don't feel a rush in that way yet because I know I still have some years, but I did take a modern fertility quiz.
Oh.
And it did say I have like low A.
Wait, what type of quiz is
Low
this?
what?
Low like fertility or something.
How does it test that?
Didn't I tell you?
Oh, is that
Yeah,
they sent it to you?
They sent it and I was
But you have
supposed
to prick blood?
Yeah, I was supposed to do a brand deal, but I never did it.
Cover Misu's nose or something.
Sorry,
She
Misu, can you go over here?
Stop snoring.
Go
It's
over
like
here.
you're ruining the moment.
I love you.
Our
I love
little
you.
daughter.
Go over there. No, but I did I was going to do an ad for it, but then I didn't feel comfortable sharing at the time when I got it because it was kind of like news to me that it said I'm in like the not low, but one above that as far as my fertility rate is. And
does that mean like a number of eggs or something?
it said, I can pull it up, but it said something about, but it also has to do with birth control. And I'm on birth control. I'm on hormonal birth control. And that affects it did say like that affects the rating you get.
Oh, well,
so.
And you know what? That's kind of why I was curious, because I feel like there's so many factors. Like even birth control, some people will tell you that makes it worse. But my doctor told me when I got off the pill, but we weren't going to start trying right away. She was like, just be careful, because when you get off the pill, those first few months, you're so fertile because your body's just like
that's
pumping out all the whatever. So I feel like it also could make you more fertile in a way.
Yeah.
And it just depends.
I'm pretty sure if that's like an obstacle that's in the test.
I mean, not to invalidate.
Of
I'm
course.
more just like, don't tell her that. She'll be fine.
I know. But I was like, oh, shoot, do I need to start sooner? I think it's
totally makes sense.
It's gonna happen or it's not. You know, I'm not fully in control of when.
Totally. I mean, we keep talking the talk about like we want to do it when we're ready and stuff, but sometimes the timing, it's just we're not in control. You know, whether or not you believe in God, it's like it's God's timing. You know what I mean? Like I say that pretty often. It's but when people ask, you know, hey, it's in God's timing, man. It's out of my hands.
Ask God.
Ask him.
He knows more than we know.
That's so true. Some people it's like immediately, other people it takes 10 years.
Yeah,
so that's real. Anyway, we can talk all day about how we are going to be as parents, but we won't truly know until the time comes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, Julie, you've been thinking about it a lot more because you are a mom already.
Oh, this is the first time I'm thinking about it. Wow.
But I wanted to ask you, like what has, I guess, your pregnancy journey been like? And have you been thinking a lot about what kind of parent you're going to be to your future kid?
Literally, it's like the only thing I've thought about. I feel like for the last year. Well, even more. Yeah, actually, it's been about a year since we started trying to get pregnant. And at the time, we knew we wanted, like we were trying. So we knew we wanted to have kids. But I also thought it could take a while and I didn't really know. And I think what happened one time is that this is how it went. We had like a little transition period where we were like, okay, I'm off the pill, but we're not going to really try yet. But I'm off the pill, so like we would be happy if I were pregnant. And I realized quickly into that period, no pun intended, that when I got my period, I was sad. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, so we're ready, like emotionally at least.
Yeah.
So then we started trying. We got pregnant immediately, but then we lost that baby. And then it took 9 months after that. And now that's baby boy, who is 6 months along. And it's been really good. I don't even know. I'm like, how do I summarize the most emotional roller coaster year of my life and physical roller coaster? And it's been like the highs and the lows. I think overall my pregnancy has been good though. My first trimester was hard, but I feel like not as bad as I hear from a lot of people. Like I was sick, but I wasn't like so sick that I couldn't. Well, I'm not sure if I'm already forgetting some of it.
Maybe you're blocking
I'm like,
it out.
well, I couldn't really do anything. No, I was just super, super tired. Like I spent a lot of time laying on the couch, but it was more from exhaustion than from how sick I felt. I was just a little bit sick. And I felt like that part was actually a lot more manageable than like the horror stories I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I was tired and I was super anxious the whole first trimester about like if the baby was okay.
Yeah.
And then second trimester, for a while, it was kind of similar to the first. Everyone was telling me second trimester is the honeymoon phase. You're going to love it. You'll have this burst of energy. It's amazing. You'll forget you're pregnant. So for the first like month or two of second trimester, I was like, okay, that's not true. I'm still like exhausted and sick. But I finally entered that stage. I am now in the golden era, I think.
I can feel it.
Yes.
Yes, I got the most insane nesting energy wave. I have had things on my to-do list, like kind of like deep cleaning projects, you know, stuff that's been on my to-do list literally for like 5 years that I just never got to. I got them all done in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's a real thing.
I got
like
the nesting energy.
Nesting. So for those that don't know what nesting is, that is.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Can you explain?
I'm in my mommy bubble.
What it's a real thing. It's not just like, oh, nesting, like creating a home for the baby. There's like more to it, right?
Well, I don't really know scientifically, but my hunch is it's a real thing because I'll tell you another story. But nesting is just like the mom instinct to get your house ready for the kid.
Oh.
So like just wanting to like clean a lot, you know, kind of in the spring when you get like spring cleaning fever sort of.
Sure.
It's like that, but during pregnancy. Some people say that you only get it like the week or two before you give birth, and it's like a sign that labor is coming.
That's crazy.
But I've heard a lot of people also second trimester because they have energy, whereas first trimester they're sick and third trimester they're just like huge and tired. So, but I think part of it must be like biological hormonal. I don't know. I'm sure not everyone experiences it. But the reason I think this is because it felt so primal the other day. I had just been cleaning and then we had like just a small mess in the house. And normally, I don't know, I'm not a super like, I like the house to be clean, but I'm not really like obsessive about that. I just felt this internal like rage that felt like I need the house to be ready for the baby now. And like I still have 3 more months, you know, and this was like a few weeks ago too. And the house is ready enough. It's not like the baby wasn't going to be okay if like a cord was showing, you know. But I just felt this like intense, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like when you feel mama bear, like you want to protect someone because they're like getting hurt or something. I felt that, but about like the house being a mess.
Was Nathan around?
Yes, he was around.
So were you like, I don't know, speaking to him differently and stuff?
Yes. Well, no, I'm proud. You're like, were you a jerk? No, I wasn't. I don't think I was mean because I knew that I was feeling it, but I forgot what we were talking about, and I did just like start crying. And I was like, I don't know what's happening to me right now, but I'm like more irritable than I've ever been in my life. And those cords that are on that table make me want to scream.
Wow.
So I just like told him that I was feeling that. He's really good about like empathizing, having like the nurturing side, but he also knows that I like to laugh when I feel that type of pain because it takes me out of the like intensity of it and makes it like, oh yeah, it's actually okay. It's actually just cords, you know? He wouldn't do that with someone who doesn't like to laugh. But I find it very comforting if the other person is not overwhelmed by my intensity. So I don't remember what he did, but he probably like, you know, gave me a little sympathy and then made a joke or something because that makes me feel safe. Like, it's okay.
If you know Nathan, that's exactly, I can picture him doing that.
Expect nothing less. Wow, nesting.
Yeah. So I think it might be real. And it's been the best part. And now I also feel lots of kicks, which is like so amazing. I didn't know if I would like that before I was pregnant. I thought it might freak me out. Like there's a little alien. Yeah. But I don't know. I really like it. I think because it's comforting, because it's kind of a sign that the baby's healthy. Like it's something in the third trimester you're supposed to kind of pay attention and make sure they're kicking enough. So it's just very like, okay, you're still good, you're still alive, and kind of gives you a sense of his personality because he responds to certain things. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah.
So have you pretty much, would you say you've been enjoying your pregnancy or enjoying being pregnant?
I probably wouldn't take it that far.
Okay. I know, because I know
No, some people love it.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, man,
Hate it.
yeah, I wish I would have seen this side on Instagram, how
Yeah.
shitty it is. You know what I mean?
I would say I am enjoying some parts of it because I'm enjoying being a mom. But if I could have biological children without being pregnant, I would choose that route.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think I would say it's kind of cool. Like, I do feel the privilege of being pregnant because I know a lot of people want to be, and we had our short stretch of the 9 months where I really wanted to be pregnant, and it was hard to see other people who are pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy it in that sense. I think like it does feel, it feels empowering in some ways, and it feels like such a privilege. And I just love our son already. Like, I just love getting to know him. But I'm very, very, very excited to be done with pregnancy.
Yeah. I think all of those things can be true
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
tiring. It's just tiring and inconvenient. I think I'm it's not that I hate pregnancy. It's almost more that I miss my own body, just being my own body.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real.
Because
Hey, that's
everything
real.
I do now, I have to think about the baby, which will still be true for a lot of my life now, from now on forever. But right now it's like, is it okay if I eat this?
Sure.
Or like, I need to work out, but not too hard. And like, I want to do this workout, but I don't have abs right there right now. Or, yeah.
Do you find yourself being more risk averse, like in everyday life? Like you don't want to take any risks?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I already was pretty risk averse. But I think the only way I would say, or the main way I'd say that comes up is just with food. Like in the past, if I like wasn't sure if something was a little old, I might be like, it's probably okay. Smells fine. I'll eat it.
But
and now like,
yeah.
now I won't. Yeah, I'll just toss it. Or, I mean, there's all the things you're like not supposed to eat during pregnancy, which is, I've learned is actually controversial. A lot of people just eat that stuff anyways. And I'm definitely more on the like, it's not worth it to me to take those risks. So, but I already was kind of like, I never really did anything dangerous.
Yeah.
That'd be a good question for Nathan, because he normally is more,
like a thrill seeker, adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, and I bet that there's some things that he's probably now thinking like, well, I don't want to get injured because I want to be available and stuff like that.
Right.
Dang.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking about that question because I asked Kathy, one of our good friends, Kathy Nguyen, who is a mother to a beautiful little girl named Isla. And I was talking to her about being a mom and stuff. And I asked her the same question, if being a mom has made her more risk averse. And she said, yeah, she said it like it's in the back of her mind,
Of course.
too. And that's something that I've been also thinking about, because I feel like as I've gotten older, my anxiety level to try new things has gotten higher. And I imagine that would be even greater after having kids, because someone else is depending on you, whether like through pregnancy or also like even after that, because now you have a child to take care of. Yeah.
I actually think, though, I've had a little bit of the opposite as well, because kind of like what I was reading about going from 3 to 4 kids, pregnancy has just felt like there's so much out of my control. Also, because I didn't have the best first trimester, like there were a few things that made it, we weren't sure if the baby was okay. And I had already had the miscarriage before that. So the amount of like anxiety I had at the beginning, I think I just reached a threshold
Yeah.
where I was like, I can't be this stressed for the rest of the pregnancy, and I can't be this stressed as a parent. Like, I'm not going to be able to manage that. It's too hard. And so then I think I kind of in a good way entered this land of like, life is not controllable. You know, it was like my next step in maturing in letting go of needing to feel control, which is probably going to be a process my whole life. But in that sense, I almost think I would take more risks than I did before, because I feel a little bit less like I'm trying to avoid every possible thing that could go wrong, because I feel less like that's possible. And it's more just like a lot of things happen that it is what it is.
Yeah. A lot of things are meant to be or not.
Yeah.
In general. This could get really deep. It's like this conversation, you know.
Well, also, this goes into the fact that I'm having a boy, and, you know, boys can go either way, but I only grew up with sisters, and I'm like the ultimate stereotypical girly girl. And so I could see if he ends up being more stereotypical male, he might just want to take a lot of risks. Or even if he's just like his dad, he might just be like a thrill seeker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be this like,
Maybe
don't
you'll
you
be
want to just
forced.
stay home and bake bread?
Maybe you'll be forced to.
Yeah, I think it's going to
because you'll want to like join him and be a part of the adventure.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Or he could be more like you.
True.
Right. I know. I can't decide if I want him to be into fashion or not, because if he's into fashion, we can like bond over it. But if he's not, I can dress him myself for longer.
Yeah. That's true. But that'd be cool to have a sense of fashion as a young person.
I know.
That's a cool thing to impose on them. Wow, this is wild, thinking about all of this and like your future, and how this time next year you'll have a baby, like a 1 year old, 6-month-old, you know, things like that. I think about our friends a lot, and how I guess one of the cons is and it's all, you know, different. This conversation is so nuanced, but one of the cons that I do think about is that we will have a kid who's like younger than all of our friends' kids.
I know. That's a part that goes into the guilt thing again that I always feel.
I wouldn't, for me at least, I'm not speaking for you, I don't classify that feeling as guilt. I'm just like, oh man, it like could be cool, but it's like, well, I guess I might miss out on a few things, you know, as far as like our friends who have closer in age babies and they're doing things similar and they're asking each other for advice on this and that. And, you know, we're going to be a couple years behind that. And like I think about my best friend, Arby, and Danielle and their kid. And the problems are going to be so different from like a 4-year-old and a newborn. You know what I mean? That we may not even be like, maybe we won't even hang. You know what I mean? Because it's just like the timing and the schedule and things like that are so different. And I guess it's maybe just like a FOMO and not necessarily a guilt, because I'm going to be happy regardless. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think about that often.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
Your kid could end up having really good mentors though, if they're a little younger, because of your friends.
I love that. I love that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that too, because in my family, if I'm including my cousins into that equation, I'm pretty young compared to a lot of my cousins.
Yeah.
And sure, the growing up part of it, you kind of miss windows of being able to play together or having a lot in common. But once they all become adults, all of that is kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
Like now my sister, who has a 18-year, wait, her and Rox.
Oh, your sister and Rox?
Yeah, my sister has an 18-year gap with one of my cousins who I consider like a sister to me. And we hang out now and we can do fun things together as adults. So I feel like we're thinking about things in such a bubble of when they're kids.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's so much life too that happens even when we're gone.
Right.
That they can still form such strong bonds with other kids.
Especially for your oldest, because they won't have an older sibling to look up to for stuff. So it might actually be amazing, like we were talking about with only children, that they have community with like older siblings that they can ask questions and,
Yeah, older
that
siblings
aren't
who
their
are not
parents to
their
talk to.
actual siblings,
Yeah.
their cousins and stuff.
Yeah, like you and Arby,
Yeah.
you consider him a brother. You never had a brother until you had stepbrothers, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all my cousins were also way older, even older than your cousins are to you. And then the cousins that were my age lived in Australia. So when I got to see them in Australia, it was like having that sibling bond type thing. And like we're punching each other and whatnot. Like I couldn't punch my old ass cousins. Like these cousins were like old enough that I grew up calling them Tita and Tito, like uncle, auntie, which is crazy because now I just call them cuz, or I call them by their first name, which is wild to me. But yeah, it's going to be fine either way. And there's so many things and cons, I guess, pros and cons, quote unquote, that I think about that ultimately, like you said, when they're grown up or when within our own family, it's all going to be amazing.
yeah.
Probably whenever you have kids, you'll look back at the timing and be like, this was perfect.
Yeah.
So true.
Hopefully.
Man, I was just talking to close friends today about how it's already crazy because they also have 2 dogs and then we have 2 dogs, and going out and having to get dog sitters and, things like that. Even that's crazy. And it's like, and we were like, damn, imagine, and we don't even have kids. You know what I mean?
know.
And like our life is already crazy.
Well, not crazy, but we just have restrictions and we have to
Sure.
be back home to take care of the dogs or have someone watch them. So that's going to add another layer when we have
Yeah.
actual
But as
space.
you're saying, Julie, when we do have that moment and we are looking at our, little family, we'll be like, wow, this is a perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't done the actual child rearing part yet, but I do think if I didn't want to be pregnant and I got pregnant, it would be really hard.
Yeah.
Like what keeps me going through the pregnancy is that I really wanted it and I really want to be a parent. So I think it's good for people who aren't sure or like would rather wait to just wait.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason to pressure yourself because, if it happened and whatever, like you'd figure it out. But I do think, yeah, anyone who's pressuring anyone else, it's like, why?
Yeah.
just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah,
This
there's
is a
already enough
difficult enough
pressure.
experience. Yeah.
There's already enough internal pressure.
Yeah.
And then you add the parents who are, keep pressuring, and the aunties and uncles thing, and even maybe your siblings, which I'm so thankful that just doesn't happen a ton in my immediate circle, but all things to
And
think
then
about.
once you are trying, it's a whole other thing when people start asking about that. So you never know. People don't go around being like, I'm trying, please don't ask me.
Or I feel like also I've heard from other friends that have kids immediately after they had a kid, they're like, are you going to make him a sibling? I'm sure you're going to get that, Julie. Like
yeah,
once you
I'm
have
sure.
a kid, they're like, well, they can't be an only child. They're going to make them a sibling. It's like, chill. My body is still recovering.
I know, right? We could probably do a part 2 on this, but maybe we'll save that for later in this season because we already got pretty heavy.
Yeah. And we might have different thoughts later on in life or in the next few months too.
That's so true. We also, everything that we've said in this podcast is just like what we're feeling right now. And hopefully we didn't invalidate anybody or, make anyone feel like their decisions or anything like that were wrong. We're speaking from a place where we're at, and Julie is speaking from a place where she's at, which is so exciting because in a couple months she's going to have a real life little baby boy.
I know. It's going to be beautiful.
But again, thank you, Julie, for sharing your experience with us in those stories.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Come back for parts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 because I could talk all day about it.
Oh, yeah. And she has in her podcast. So check out Really Pretty Good everywhere you listen to podcasts. And please stay tuned for more episodes of Sweet or Savory. We're going to get deep into certain topics, but also we're going to keep it light and fun like our last episode.
Which was, what was it called again? Oh my
I
God.
kind of named it like games we play at Disneyland.
Yeah, we played Mind Meld. We played when,
The words of this song, sing along. Sing along. So listen to that if you're bored in the car and need a quick laugh. But hopefully we'll get to more emotional things. Like Alyssa cried like 50 times today.
I cried 50 times. Yeah, but
I told you we would need tissues for this episode.
You're so right.
You
Julie.
were right, and you warned us, and we didn't come prepared. But we just want to share as much as we feel comfortable sharing on the podcast. These are really deep topics, but I always like when we can connect with people who are maybe feeling similarly to us, or maybe are not, and they get a new perspective on what somebody may be going through. So I'm always happy when I hear, both those perspectives.
Absolutely. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe. And also, I just announced East Coast tour dates. So please check that out on my Instagram. Get your tickets. We'll see you next year in April. And thank you for opening up your heart today.
Oh, you too.
Alyssa?
You too.
Yeah.
AJ. And you, Julie.
And you, Julie.
You're so welcome.
We'll see you on the next episode. Stay sweet.
Or savory.
Wow.
Great job.